I went to the pet shop to buy one of those collars that have spikes on them. You're tied on the leash, and it hurts. But it only hurts when it disobeys. People think that those collars are cruel. I think it's the other collars that are cruel. Because they create dogs that misbehave. You know what I think? I think that I didn't hit you hard enough. So as a father, that is my fault, and I'm sorry.
The sudden interest in Eric and Lau Menendez was without question driven by a Netflix series and a documentary on their case. But the newly elected Los Angeles County District Attorney wants to focus on the evidence and not the credits. This morning, we're spotlighting the brothers' continued quest for freedom, which seems unclear after the recent election of Nathan Hochman. The newly elected DA doesn't take over officially until December 2nd, but tells the Daily Beast that the Menendez case is a high priority, telling the publication that he has no interest in watching the popular Netflix content on the killer siblings, saying, quote, "What's the point? I'd rather read the book." Hochman joined closing arguments last week and had this to say about the upcoming case steps.
So the Menendezes have these 3 tracks that this case is proceeding on. Some of these tracks would either get them that new trial, get them out immediately, or go through this whole resentencing, parole, governor process. If they were to prevail, it would happen months and months later.
I've got 2 great guests here to do a deep dive with me on this case and whether these brothers are getting out or should get out. Still with me, the former prosecutor who famously put away Susan Smith, attorney Tommy Pope. He's a state lawmaker now and a practicing attorney in the private sector. And want to welcome in a brand new guest to opening statements, a licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Jaime Zuckerman. I love her videos, and I'm so glad she's here with us this morning. Good morning to you, Dr. Jaime. All right, so let's dig in a little bit here. So we know that the Menendez case made its way into some of the election talk. I want to start off with the sitting DA who was just replaced by Nathan Hochman, George Gascon, talking to the press about the separation going on with his own office over this polarizing case. Take a look.
I have to tell you unequivocally that we don't have a universal agreement. There are people in the office that strongly believe that the Menendez brothers should stay in prison the rest of their life, and they do not believe that they were molested. And there are people in the office that strongly believe that they should be released immediately.
One of those people we know is Deputy DA John Lewin, famously prosecuted Robert Durst, came on this network and said unequivocally that there's no evidence to substantiate those sex abuse claims. So he's one who is vehemently in disagreement with George Gascon. And now what Gascon wants to do doesn't matter, does it, Tommy Pope? He's replaced, so even though he promised, I will recommend they're getting out, to the judge, recommend that, the judge doesn't have to do it. But now it doesn't matter, does it?
No, and I'll tell you, I've experienced this in my career where you'll have a case and they'll do a story on it, and it's just not accurate. And so my concern, of course, I'm watching from afar, was that it got desperate for this prosecutor in his election, and he needed something really sexy to make everybody want to vote for him again, and clearly that didn't work. I respect the new prosecutor giving it a hard look, because again, you've got to try the cases in the courtroom, you've got to make the decisions, not in a vacuum, but not pushed by public opinion, not driven by a Netflix series that, it's kind of like lemmings. We'll all go off the cliff with it if it needs to. I respect this new prosecutor. I think he needs to look hard at it. But I've seen this time and time again in my death penalty cases where suddenly there's something new that really isn't new, but it sounds good.
Right, Tommy. And these two, could have been sentenced to death. They're lucky they got life. Dr. Jaime Zuckerman, I want to play a clip for you, going back to the trial when these guys got on the stand, gave testimony. I have a clip here where Eric is on the stand detailing why he and his brother Lau say that they believed that their parents, Jose and Kitty, were going to kill them.
She told me that if I would have kept my mouth shut, things might have worked out in the family.
What did you think that meant?
That meant that things had not worked out in the family, and I believed that she was going to kill us.
Well, things had not worked out in the family, and whose fault was that?
Mine, because I had told Lyle.
And keeping your mouth shut, what did you think she meant? Shut about what?
About the stuff between Dad and I, and that I had told Lyle.
So they're claiming that they engaged in this plot to murder their parents so brutally with shotguns and ambush them because they believed their parents were going to kill them first. Dr. Jaime Zuckerman, I know you got a lot to say about these two. What do you think of this testimony?
So typically with children who were abused, neglected, sexually abused, physically abused, it's very common for the parents to put up a lot of protective factors, meaning shame and guilt and fear, and not wanting anybody to speak to the outside. And so I think that what he's saying makes complete sense. I can see that happening. I see that happen often. The blame is shifted onto the child, that if they hadn't spoken, none of this would have happened, and that it's their fault. So it is a in these situations.
Dr. Jaime, thank you for that. So here we don't know whether the abuse took place, right? These brothers say it did. There are factions of people who believe them. We know celebrities speaking out for them. And then we know we've got people like John Lewin, a deputy DA in that office, who is saying there's no evidence that this occurred. They were never able to corroborate what these boys were saying. Let's take a look at a clip of him on closing arguments.
Well, here's the problem. One, you got a resentencing that's based on abuse that has not been documented or proved. Instead of George Gascon doing a complex and thorough investigation, he rushes this thing through so that he can attempt to salvage his doomed re-election campaign. And then he holds a press conference before he's even gone into court. Apparently, he's now posting Kim Kardashian comments. I'm sure Rosie O'Donnell is next. What kind of office is this?
And John Lewin went on to say that the Menendez brothers, Dr. Jaime, have a history of fabricating evidence. He said that particularly in the first trial, Lyle in particular of the brothers, they had a history of fabricating evidence. Help us kind of get into their minds, if you would. I know you haven't personally evaluated Lyle and Eric, how we wish you could, but we know these two killed their parents. And we know, according to the district attorney's office, they have lied about evidence to save themselves. They lied to investigators initially. What do you think about those two? What kind of people are they?
Yeah, so when you're dealing, if we go with that they were sexually and physically abused throughout their entire life, the idea that nobody can help them, they couldn't go to anybody about the abuse, so there wouldn't be, at least from authorities, anything documenting the abuse and cover up for this. But typically, people or children who kill their parents because they believe that danger and there is nobody else to help them, it puts them in this situation where they have no resources, they have no outlet, and so I understand where they're coming from if we take it from that standpoint of that they were sexually abused. Their stories make sense from that standpoint. As far as lying and evidence goes, it again is not uncommon for children who killed their parents, even at the age that they did, to one, be confused, two, dissociate, and three, not have an accurate perception of their reality, given the fact that they've been gaslit their entire lives.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, the perception of reality, it may be skewed, right? So these guys in prison, they've been good model prisoners. Tommy Pope, let me ask you about that. So they have not been like Susan Smith, who we're going to be talking a lot about this week, doing a special show on Wednesday about her. These guys have been good guys in prison. Tommy, do you think we can trust them, though, to be let out and to go back into society?
I think, to me, when I hear good guys in prison, I actually had this in a death penalty case. It was a young man that shot someone, and he received the death penalty. It came back on a retrial, and several years later, he had been a model prisoner. And so ultimately, the jury gave him life that second time. So I can see it from that standpoint, but being released, and again, I hate to say I had a case, but I had another case where the guys claimed he was abused by his father. They had an expert. She testified. When we drilled down, she had painted this broad stroke of physical abuse and other types of abuse and, reasons that he should have killed his mother, with the knife and his father with the baseball bat. And when I dug in cross-examination, this was Robertson. It was actually on court TV. There was no incidents or a single incident, but they created this picture. That's my concern, that that's what's occurring here.
Sure. Great points, Tommy. Dr. Jaime Zuckerman, I want to give you the last word here because we're going to have to say goodbye to you after this segment. So at the end of the day, with all the information that you have available at this point now, do you think that release should happen for these two guys?
I do. I do, with a couple things in place. I think that the transition for them is going to be extremely difficult, as it would for anybody. They've been in prison for so long. I think it's going to be closely monitored. I think it's going to be extremely important to have somebody be a gatekeeper for them, for the barrage of PR and media that's going to come at them. They have the skills to handle that. They need somebody to protect them financially. They need therapy. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be in place for this to make.
And would love to talk with you more about them. December 11th is going to be the date where the judge will hear the recommendations. So I know it seems like all of us talking about this, it's been Menendez mania, we've been calling it. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but we'll see what recommendation the DA's office makes at that point. Dr. Jaime Zuckerman, would love to have you back. Thank you for your time and expertise. Attorney Tommy Pope, I know we're going to see you back in just a minute. Coming up here on Opening Statements, we've got the baby called murder trial resuming in less than 30 minutes. The defense is going to call Chloe Driver's mother. How's that going to tip the scales of justice? Be right back.